Now that you have chosen the VC, you have to get chosen by the VC. And this is the next step. How do you increase your chances to get chosen? First of all, you start with your long list of potential venture capitalists. We already talked about how you sort the relevant venture capitalists. We talked about the 5 criteria that might help you to sort the right venture capitalist. So what it helps you, if you start with that long list of venture capitalists, to drive that down into a shorter list. Those are the ones whom you send your executive summary of your business idea, which is, again, that's the contact phase. That's the first phase of getting VC money. And before that, even before that, you have this long list, you take your criteria, and then you have a short list, the guys whom you send your executive summary. However, what do you do to increase your chances? Well, the step 1 is you have to take a proper approach. What is a proper approach? You can do a cold call to a VC, or you can try to find a so-called warm intro. Try to leverage your own network. I mean, you might be on LinkedIn, for example, so look for who else is on LinkedIn, whether you have second-grade contact to someone or first-grade contact who has first-grade contact to a VC. And try to go to the VC through that person. It is all about trust at the very end when it comes to that process, because the VC never can look into you, the entrepreneur, in detail. He has to do his due diligence, but that's restricted. So he looks for people he can trust. And if these people approach him saying, oh, there is a great venture out there, the willingness of the VC guys to listen to you is higher. Secondly, be aware who is your primary contact in the VC. It's an analyst or is it a partner? And if it's an analyst, the process gets a little more complicated, because you have to convince the analyst and you have to teach him how to convince the partner. Because at the very end, it comes to a board decision. And the analyst might show up in the board, but you are not going to show up in the board. So if you only present to the analyst, you have to teach him how to present to the partners in order to get chosen. So, I mean, bottom line is try to get the partners at the very end, because they will sit in the meeting and they can convince the other partners in a much better way. Thirdly, think parallel. Don't just only approach one VC at the time. Try to pick from your short list 3 or 4 and you try to make that process parallel over time. So send them executive summary at the same moment and then try to get feedback same moment and so on, and go in this next phases also in the same way. And the last thing, it's one team member. It's, as I say, one face to the customer driving the process. You have to have the proper go guy. You have to have the proper CFO who's going to handle that process. I mean, when it comes to company presentations and so on, normally also the CEO is present. But when it comes to dealing with the whole process, it's the CFO who has to do that. Altogether, timing is really crucial. Think in parallel, looking at the right people, having the right person to do that. You have to go in the right way. That's a step 1. If you do the step 1 in the right way, your probability to get into step 2 is quite high. And the step 2 is the meeting, or how to make it to the next meeting. If you have the chance to do a pitch, or even a longer pitch, 30 seconds to 3 minutes, there's some crucial elements you have to tackle in the pitch. You have to think about a problem you're solving. You have to think about a solution, which is your company doing. It's a solution for the problem. Think about markets. Tell them there's a big market, ideally growing market, And you can get traction in that market. You can make money in that market. If you can build your pitch on this is the problem, this is our solution, this is how we get money, how we make money, and that's a great and growing market, you're a lot closer to really getting a chance to get to the next meeting, do a company presentation. A toothbrush product is perfect. A toothbrush is easy to explain. You need it at least twice a day, and all the world needs it. So that's the best product you might want to present. I mean, we have to be honest, not every entrepreneurial endeavor has such a product. However, it's about selling what you do. And if you have a 3-minute pitch, you can even give more information. Be careful, don't give too much information. If you have 30 seconds, tackle those questions. If you have 3 minutes, you might give more unique insights. You can surprise the VC, for example. Or you can explain a little more detail how you really make the money. Or you can, in addition to that, you can sell your team. Or you can even ask for the desired funding so that the VC knows you're really looking for money and you think he's the right partner. All of that is making it to the next meeting. The VC calls you in order to say, oh, I'm interested, tell me a little more. And it depends whether you have 30 seconds or 3 minutes, or you start with a 30-second pitch and then you give 3 minutes more information. And ideally he says, wow, that's cool. Your executive summary is convincing. What you tell me on the phone is convincing. Why don't you come by and tell me more about it? And then it really comes to the company presentation. And that's step 3. And you can make a good presentation, a great presentation, avoiding mistakes, paying good attention, or the VC is not the one who's going to invest in your company. And to be honest, in many, many cases, and many venture capitalists will tell you that VCs make up their mind in the first 30 seconds to 3 minutes when it comes to the company presentation. That's their gut feeling. It's the feeling about you. It's the feeling about how you approach your problem. And then the only thing is they try to find more information that they're right. They try to find more information to turn you down, or they try to find more information to justify their investments. And if you want to have that first good impression, there is a couple tips on this slide. And the first one is a proper introduction. Make sure the listener understands what you're really doing. Make sure he really understands. Secondly, if you're able to show progress, do that. Show it, know the numbers. If he asks for more numbers, you have to know that, and you have to know how you come up with the numbers. Tell them about market size. Market is really one of the most important issues for VC investing, because VCs normally want to invest in growing markets, in new markets, because their entrepreneurial companies can get a big share. Give the VC some insights, especially the investor should learn something that is counterintuitive. He should say, oh wow, this company surprised me. I really want to know more about it. Maybe this is really something I should consider a little more because I didn't know. Convince the VC that your team is uniquely suited for this business, especially this business. Try to find data points for that, proper experience, or a good board you have, or anything else. And then don't forget to ask for money, because this is what it's all about. And try to understand the VC a little more. And VCs like that if you try to understand also their position a little more. For example, try to get an introduction to other founders they've backed. That helps you a lot in understanding how the VC works, how the process is, and so on. And every good VC should give you that information.